First, Liverpool's owners say they're open to new investment following a report that the club has been put up for sale. Fenway Sports Group, who have owned Liverpool since 2010, stopped short of confirming they'd sell the club entirely, but they also failed to rule it out. So let's go to Anfield and join our reporter Vinny O'Connor, who's waiting to speak to us. Vinny, very good evening. Firstly, what does the report say and what can we read into FSG's response?
Well, those reports came out early this afternoon, and what they stated was that Liverpool's owners were inviting offers for the club and that they'd brought in investment bankers Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs to oversee the evaluation process. And then subsequently there came a statement from FSG, and this is what they had to say in that statement. There have been a number of recent changes of ownership and rumours of changes of ownership at EPL clubs, and inevitably we are asked regularly about Fenway Sports Group's ownership in Liverpool. FSG has frequently received expressions of interest from third parties seeking to become shareholders in Liverpool. FSG has said before that under the right terms and conditions we would consider new shareholders if it was in the best interests of Liverpool as a club. FSG remains fully committed to the success of Liverpool both on and off the pitch. But it's interesting that in that statement they didn't rule out completely the sale of the club. We've also been told subsequently as well that given the ongoing interest, it's understood that FSG has retained Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley to assist with the evaluation process. So clearly there is a process going on. What isn't so clear is whether that process involves groups who want to take a shareholding in Liverpool Football Club or groups who want to take over the entire club.
Vinny, how have the Liverpool fans reacted?
Yeah, well, it's been, again, not surprising, the reaction from Liverpool fans. And Spirit of Shankly gave a statement a little bit earlier on. In it, they said that we expect both the supporters board and Spirit of Shankly to be engaged in some part of the process so that supporters are front and centre of any sale and the first thoughts of prospective owners. Of course, amongst the fan base, there'll be a good deal of uncertainty as to exactly what the situation is, given what I've just said as regards that statement from FSG earlier today. Alongside me is Harriet Prior from the Anfield Wrap. And Harriet, just sum up the feelings of Liverpool fans at the moment. Obviously, as you've heard, what Spirit of Shankly had to say earlier today as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think a large amount of surprise and a large amount of shock as well. There's been numerous conversations in recent months about the ownership, but most of those are centred around the transfer window, the fact that we didn't invest in the summer in the way that many fans would have liked to have seen. But I don't think anyone expects a statement like this to come out today. And look, you mentioned some of the caveats there. At the moment, there seems to be many more questions than there is answers. We don't know if it's a majority or minority stake that's on sale. We don't know what's going to happen for the future. But the main questions for us is, are FSG the right ownership to take Liverpool forward? We can quite clearly see that we're in a period of transition both on and off the pitch. Are they the ones to invest in our long-term future? And that's what is the forefront of fans' mind at the moment.
What are your thoughts then as a whole on that statement, the fact that it doesn't rule out lock, stock, sale of the football club?
I think that's maybe really confusing for a lot of people. I think at the moment, while there is a little bit of instability and our form hasn't been the best on the pitch, we really want that stability off the pitch, and that leaves open a lot of open doors. And I think honest and open communication now is going to be the key. But look, if they're putting out a statement like that, it's quite clear, as you mentioned, that a process is already in place. So I think we have to expect now the next few months are going to be turbulent while that handover process, if that does happen, takes place. But who are these new owners going to be? That's the big question. Is it going to be a state that's buying into Liverpool? Is that something that Liverpool fans want as well? And I think the Spirit of Shankly is really important in making sure that fans' voices are at the forefront of all of this.
Obviously, we've seen, with regard to Newcastle, for instance, the takeover there and the subsequent opposition that there had been in some quarters to that. So would Liverpool fans be against ownership in that kind of a takeover in that kind of style?
I think that the majority of them would, to be honest. Obviously, there are many questions about the investment in Liverpool in the squad, and we've got quite an ageing squad now. And look, there is definitely criticisms of SSG and how they've decided to go about the transfer window, even though this era has brought up so much success, the Champions League, the Premier League, all the trophies we've won under Jurgen Klopp. However, there has still been that question of, are we preparing for the future? Probably not is the best answer, but still I don't think fans would be on board with a state ownership model.
That said, it could just be, of course, a case of shareholders, a group taking a shareholding within the football club, and in that instance, would Liverpool fans still want to see FSG as custodians of the football club.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because FSG have always been clear that they do business in a certain way. They want the sport and they want football to look a certain way. So that's the big question now. Whether they'll still have a minority sort of membership in it and whether they'll still be part of it is the really big question now. I think that a lot of people, while there has been criticisms, do like FSG and wonder whether the ownership can really get much better without it being owned by a state, and that's not necessarily what Liverpool fans want. So it's a lot of questions, but I think if they were going to sell, I think they'd have to sell in total and not just still be part of it and lingering on the sidelines.
How do Liverpool fans then view FSG as a whole? You've kind of touched on it, but at the same time, playing devil's advocate, obviously money has been spent. It has been brought into the football club through the sales of the likes of Suarez, the likes of Coutinho, but money has been spent on the likes of Alisson, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah coming in. But even in the summer, of course, Darwin Núñez was signed for big money as well, and they have delivered success. They've delivered a new main stand and they're delivering the Anfield Road redevelopments as well.
Yeah, there's been a lot of investment, like you said, there in the stadium, two main stands or extensions of the stands as well, but it's always been they've got to make profit and they don't want to sort of spend more money than they're going to get back. So that's a prime example with the Coutinho sale. They managed to bring in Alisson and Virgil van Dijk, but apart from that, they don't like to spend a lot of money on big name players unless they're going to get that money back in, and that sticking point has really come up recently with Jude Bellingham. But I think if you look overall, you have to say it's been a success. They brought in Jurgen Klopp, they took over 12 years ago, and in that time Liverpool have won everything they've had to win. They built a squad that is absolutely incredible. They've brought in a manager who is world class, and they've literally won everything, and most notably the Premier League after a 30-year wait and the Champions League. So not many people can look back at that reign and say that it hasn't been anything but a success. There obviously has been criticisms, most notably with the Super League and also with ticket prices, and I think fans have always been really keen to take a stance on that. But overall, I think they've been many more positives than there has negatives with FSG.